Hello! Today's tutorial is on tree pose Vrksasana. As you can see, this pose is a balancing posture, so it works on the stability and balance. It works on the strength of the supporting leg, working on the quads, calves, ankles, and as for the lifted leg, as you can see, it works on the external rotators and it stretches out the inner thighs and the adductors. So let me first start with a demonstration of this pose. We're going to start in Tadasana, mountain pose. And after that, I'll show you as well modifications if this one is too difficult for you. Okay. So from here, we're going to slowly shift our weight onto the supporting leg of your choice, right or left. In my case, I'm going to shift it over towards the left leg. And you'll be able to lift the right leg off the ground. So from here, you can use your hand to grab onto your right foot and put it right under your groin. Okay? Try to keep your hips neutral and your lifted leg externally rotated. And from here, we're just going to inhale and bring our arms above the head if you wish. Drop the shoulders. Otherwise, you can bring the hands in prayer at the chest and just look forward. Be strong in the supporting leg and straighten it. Keep the spine straight, and this is tree pose, Vrksasana. So now let me talk about the one biggest mistake I see always in this pose that I wish most students can understand, because it actually affects your knees in a bad way. So one thing that I see the most often is students pushing the foot of the lifted leg against the knee of the supporting leg. I'm not putting any weight on it, but just to demonstrate to you the weight, students try to push the weight of the lifted leg against the knee joint, literally. So you have to imagine the knee, we naturally bend our knee this way, and there's the knee joint here, and there are two bones. So we bend our knee this way. We do not bend our knee actually this way, laterally to the side. We can't even do it. Not talking about this, but talking about in this plane, you're trying to bend the leg this way. And that is what students actually do when you try to push and channel a force from this direction against the knee. You're trying to push the knee joint to do something like this. So it actually hurts the knee joint. Okay? So now I'm going to offer modifications. If the balance part is difficult for you, you can always put the lifted leg or the bent leg onto the ankle. Just lean it on the ankle very gently, okay? And then if mobility and flexibility is a question for you, you can put it on the shin, okay? Or even above the knee, just not on the knee joint, okay? If it's difficult to bring your foot all the way up, the closest possible. All right, so that we try to reduce any strain on our joints so that we can work towards longevity instead of the technique that can harm you. So one other thing is some students, they might internally rotate this lifted leg, and I can understand most of the time it's caused by this lack of external rotation, and that's totally and absolutely normal. So if it's difficult to rotate out, I know you're trying your best. Just be aware that sometimes it closes in, maybe because you're focusing on the balance. In that case, if you're able to just externally rotate your leg more, just be aware of it, okay? And one other thing that I see students do is, I know you're trying to use your hand, reach for your foot, and try to put your foot at the highest point possible. So sometimes I see that students grab the foot, and then because you try to put it here, they kind of like shift the position of the hips, most commonly upwards, because you're trying to bring the leg up. So instead of the hip tilting down, you're like, the hip is tilting up, or otherwise backwards, like that, okay? So as much as possible, let's try to keep our hips neutral, torso neutral, and it actually helps so very much with balance. If you keep everything neutral without shifting all the other parts, and then it becomes so much easier to balance. Because if you start shifting everywhere else, it really becomes very challenging to balance. So let me mention one other important thing that I think that beginners can start to learn now. So one mistake, especially for beginners or maybe even intermediate students, is that they focus too much on the lifted leg instead of the supporting leg. The thing is, without the foundation, even if the lifted leg can be very high up, lifted up high up, but without a strong foundation, you're going to collapse anyway. So it doesn't help having an extremely high leg if your foundation is crumbling. So I would say for beginners, let's always try to work on the stability and focus first on the supporting leg. It doesn't matter if your leg might be internally rotating even more, or not externally rotating as much, or not as high as possible. Okay? Because if you don't have the supporting leg, no matter how high you can bring this leg, it defeats the point. It's kind of useless. So if you need the other leg lower, not too much externally rotated, it's fine. Just focus on being strong on this supporting leg, okay? And this applies to all standing postures. And eventually, if you work more on all the other balancing postures, it's so important. If you can be strong in the supporting leg, rooted to the ground, everything else will be so much easier, okay? So focus first on this leg. Squeeze your glutes, be strong, root down, straighten your leg, okay? If you need a micro bend, use a micro bend, okay? And then eventually, if you're stable in this leg, then you can start to think where you want to bring this other leg. You can do anything with it if you're stable with the bottom leg, okay? So now, let's talk about the hyperextension or not. This is a very important topic in yoga. So yoga says no hyperextension at all. Always microbend the leg. So what I say is do what works best for you. What's going to help you balance, get stronger, work on what you want to work on and achieve in yoga. So if straightening your legs totally works well for you and you have hyperextended legs, go for it, okay? As long as it's not causing you pain, only you know what's best for you. And if you wish to microbend, if you think it could help you with the balance, feel free to do it as well, okay? The goal is to listen to your body, because I personally know many people who started actually with their kind of sport since they were young, and they have hypermobile joints in their legs and their arms, and then eventually they managed to build it up really strongly. So this part, please just listen to your body and decide what is best for you. So this is it for a tutorial on tree pose, and I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to see you for the next one. Namaste.